Hello, you're watching the AutoAdviser channel. Ever heard the phrase women are bad drivers? Or perhaps men drive too aggressively? Let's dive into these common stereotypes. Stereotypes, those pesky assumptions we make about groups of people, are everywhere, even on our roads. They're like those annoying potholes that jolt us out of our comfort zone. And today, we're going to address two of the most common ones in the world of driving. Let's start with the men. They're often branded as aggressive, even reckless drivers. The image that comes to mind is of a man behind the wheel, foot heavy on the accelerator, weaving in and out of traffic like a scene out of a high-octane action movie. Sound familiar? On the flip side, we have the stereotype of women drivers. They're often painted as overly cautious, indecisive, and, dare I say it, bad at parking. The classic image is of a woman gripping the steering wheel tight, eyes wide, hesitating at every turn and taking an eternity to park her car. These stereotypes are as old as the car itself, and they've been ingrained in our minds, making us believe that they are facts. But let's hit the brakes here for a moment. These are just broad generalizations, aren't they? They're not accurate representations of every male and female driver out there. Just as every car is not the same, every driver is not the same. We all have our strengths and weaknesses when it comes to driving. Some of us are speed demons, others are slow and steady. Some are fantastic at parallel parking, while others would rather walk a mile than attempt it. The truth is, these stereotypes don't take into account the individual behind the wheel. They don't consider their experience, their skills, their temperament, or their knowledge of the road rules. So before we judge someone's driving skills based on their gender, let's remember that driving is not a one-size-fits-all skill. It's a complex blend of abilities, reactions, and decisions that vary from person to person. Now that we've unpacked these stereotypes, let's dive into the facts. Contrary to popular belief, being an aggressive driver doesn't necessarily make you a good one. Let's look at some facts about male drivers. When it comes to the world of driving, men often get a reputation for being risky, fast, and aggressive. But do these traits necessarily translate to better driving skills? The truth is, not always. Statistics show that men are more likely to be involved in fatal accidents. This is often linked to their propensity for speed and a higher likelihood of flouting safety regulations. But before we paint all men with the same brush, it's essential to note that not all male drivers are reckless speed demons. Many are responsible, cautious, and considerate on the roads. However, the numbers do suggest a pattern. According to traffic violation reports, men tend to receive more citations for reckless driving, failing to yield, speeding, and not wearing seatbelts, among other infractions. The risk-taking behavior often associated with male drivers can also lead to higher insurance premiums. Insurance companies, after all, base their rates on risk analysis. And if the data indicates that men are more likely to be involved in accidents, their premiums will reflect that. But it's not all doom and gloom for the gents behind the wheel. Men also have their share of advantages. They are often more confident drivers, which can contribute to better vehicle handling and control. They are also more likely to take on challenging driving conditions, such as night driving, bad weather, or heavy traffic, which can lead to more experienced and skilled driving over time. In the end, it's important to remember that these are general trends and not definitive rules. Every driver is unique, irrespective of gender, and driving skills depend more on individual behavior, experience, and attitude. But what about female drivers? Let's delve into that next. Scene script. Are women really worse drivers, or is there more to the story? Let's take a look at the facts about female drivers. Contrary to popular belief, women are typically involved in fewer fatal accidents than men. According to a study conducted by the Insurance Institute for Highway Safety in the United States, men were involved in 71% of all fatal crashes in 2021, while women were involved in just 29%. This suggests that women tend to be more cautious and aware when on the road, which can lead to fewer accidents. In addition to being involved in fewer fatal accidents, women also tend to get fewer traffic tickets compared to men. Studies have shown that men receive more than double the number of speeding tickets than women. This could be because women are generally more law-abiding and less likely to engage in risky driving behaviors such as speeding or reckless driving. However, it's not all rosy in the world of female drivers. While their caution can be a strength, it can also be a weakness. Women tend to be more hesitant while driving, particularly in situations that require quick decision-making. This hesitation can sometimes lead to dangerous situations. For instance, a hesitant driver might not take an opening in traffic soon enough, which can cause other drivers to brake suddenly or swerve to avoid a collision. Like with male drivers, these facts challenge the stereotype and show that not all women are bad drivers. The truth is, driving skills aren't determined by gender, but by individual personality, experience, and habits. Some women are excellent drivers, while others may need improvement. The same can be said for men. In conclusion, it's clear that both genders have their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to driving. Women tend to be more cautious and law-abiding, but their tendency to hesitate can sometimes put them in dangerous situations. Men, on the other hand, are often more confident and decisive, but their propensity for risk-taking can lead to more accidents and traffic violations. Clearly, both men and women have their strengths and weaknesses when it comes to driving. So who's really the better driver, men or women? That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? But here's the deal. When we're talking about driving skills, it's not about gender, it's about the individual. Imagine a spectrum of driving skills. On one end, you have the best drivers in the world. On the other, the worst. Now picture men and women scattered all along this spectrum. Because that's the reality. There are men who are exceptional drivers, just as there are women. Similarly, there are men who struggle with parallel parking, just as there are women who have a hard time with highway merges. It's not about gender, it's about the individual. Driving skills are not inherent. They're learned. They're honed over time. They're the result of hours spent behind the wheel, of lessons learned from mistakes, of knowledge gained from experiences. A person's driving ability is shaped by their attitude towards it, by their willingness to learn, by their respect for the rules of the road. It's about understanding that driving is a responsibility, not a right. It's about knowing that the safety of others is in your hands and acting accordingly. It's about having the humility to accept when you're wrong, the courage to admit when you don't know, and the wisdom to ask for help when you need it. It's about patience, about respect, about empathy. These are not male traits. These are not female traits. These are human traits. So let's stop asking who's the better driver. Let's stop turning this into a gender competition. Let's focus on promoting safe driving, on encouraging responsible behavior on the road, on celebrating those who drive well, regardless of their gender. Because in the grand scheme of things, what does it matter if you're a man or a woman? In the end, it's not about whether you're a man or a woman. It's about how you handle yourself on the road. Drive safe, folks. What stereotypes do you agree and disagree with? Write your options in the comments.